Many times as language learners, we find ourselves resonating all too often with the phrase feeling stuck. But what if we are actually going in the right direction? And what if instead it's the fact that we're criticizing ourselves and our work so harshly that it prevents us from feeling and knowing that we are moving forward mentally? Welcome back to the Confidence Reset for multi-passionate and ambitious language learners who are looking for some confidence and motivation along the way. I also invite you to join my very new community down in the description below if you would like to continue growing in your confidence and success as you reach for your language learning goals. So inevitably, for language learners, we face a wide range of emotions, from extremely fulfilled to feeling frustrated and feeling stuck. Now, I've talked before about deeper psychological reasons about why we may be stuck in our languages. Definitely is not a nice place to be in, doesn't feel good, and can even stop us from continuing a language down the road, as I have witnessed with a lot of language learners that have given up. So while there are various reasons for feeling stuck, I want to ask you if this insight might also resonate at some point in your journey. Are we actually feeling stuck and unsure of what to do? Or are we criticizing ourselves so much about what we're doing that we focus only on what we think is going bad or too slow? If you've seen my video about energy management here and also linked in the description, we talk about the 4 areas of how human beings naturally renew energy, as based on the research by performance psychologists Lohr and Schwartz. But there's one area called emotional energy that they found. We only have so much, and there are certain ways to renew it, but how are we subconsciously spending it right now? If we're caught in a cycle of constant worrying, second guessing our decisions in our language learning, shaming ourselves when we make a mistake, all of that is channeled emotional energy, and we sometimes don't even notice how much our negative thoughts and self-criticism are draining it. And when emotionally drained, it is hard for us to see wider perspectives, alternative solutions. It makes it harder to harness our creativity in our language learning. Therefore, when emotionally drained, it's hard to see around a problem in our languages, and we often interpret a problem is there even though it wasn't even a problem in the first place. It's simply just a part of the language learning process. And this can happen at any level of proficiency in language learning. Trust me, I felt it at every part of my journey. This can manifest at the beginner level when we can't understand what others are saying. We feel like everyone's speaking too fast. We can't differentiate between words, between where sentences stop and end. It's normal for the level, but we can still tell ourselves we're going too slow or not making progress and then feel stuck. In the intermediate stage, of course, for this example, we have all learned about the intermediate plateau. Maybe we've experienced it in other languages. So eventually, after hearing so much about it and also living it, we then anticipate this happening with another language. And in this stage, it can be very intensely frustrating when we are feeling stuck here, when actually this is also normal. This is what the intermediate level is about. At this stage, it is fully necessary in order to move forward, to use the emotional energy, not all on our self-criticism that can make us feel even more stuck, but also try to channel it to get creative, maybe change up what resources we've been using, search for what else might be available for us to challenge ourselves to the next step in a sustainable way. That energy can also help us consider what else is a win at this stage, such as mindset shifts, which are just as big, just as impactful wins to our overall language learning journey, just as much as language acquisition feats, even though it's hard to remind ourselves of that sometimes. For the advanced level, maybe forgetting words in a conversation, noticing that you don't remember all the words that you used to, maybe you're exhausted, you haven't spoken in a while, maybe you wanted to prioritize something else over your language learning in this period of life. And also in this example, right, we can see criticizing ourselves and fueling constant negative self-talk shuts down our thinking process and the mental space that we need to actively use our languages. So if we're constantly criticizing ourselves while actively speaking, for example, it can feel even harder to find the right sentences to express yourself in the way that you want. Maybe remember a word you just learned yesterday, etc. Because we're taking the energy away from what could help us think more clearly and are instead using it to fuel our negative self-criticism. And then we ruminate on that memory, thinking that we're stuck and we may need to add just another tip or another method, when actually we are right where we need to be in our learning process. And at the advanced stage, the learning process can feel very up in the air since we passed the previous stages. So remember, our brains are wired to search for the negative. That has been ingrained in us for our survival in the past. Focusing on the negative, being critical of ourselves, judging ourselves is natural. In personal life, it's normal to have criticism, face judgment, and also give it in our personal relationships, in our career, in other domains of life outside of language learning. And as busy adults, it's really hard to remind ourselves that we can harness creativity that we already have inside us, because often there's not a lot of opportunity to bring that creativity out. And as adults, our creativity can also be blocked because we already have a lot of preconceived ideas about what languages we should learn, or how a polyglot should act, or how a worthy language learner should be, what the right way to learn a language is. And considering this, we also start imagining what other criticism we might get as language learners when analyzing what we have done in our learning or what we haven't done. This judgment, this criticism, whether it's imagined or it's real, definitely lowers our original curiosity that we had at the beginning to learn the language in the first place. But language learning is an experience. It's like a canvas that you can tweak to your own liking, and it's your own work of art. And even though it is totally 100% natural to judge yourself where you are on your journey at any stage, I invite you to think of it this way. The marvelous first step of any language learner is to bring your language to life in a way that you like. Add shades that are the foundations to your language canvas. It's not a complete picture. You're starting to see the different hues and the different shades that you picked out. And why judge it when it's not even resembling anything yet? And once you add more refined details, curves, and blends to your canvas, that's when you can step back a little bit and add necessary tweaks and channel your emotional energy accordingly. But know the only right way towards success is the one you are following right now. It's not wrong, no matter what anyone says, and there's nothing wrong with you. You call the shots with painting your own language canvas, your way on your own journey.